Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am super excited to be here today. Uh, I am excited that you all are joining me on this edition of Coins and Your Credit. And so, for those of you who are joining me for the first time, I am Brandy Harrington. I am a local real estate broker and I am an author of the Coins Legacy Keeper. And one of the things that I have created is this channel to be able to help people understand the things that impacts their coins or their money. And what we do is we talk about all things that impact that. So we've talked about your taxes, we've talked about insurance, we're talking about credit today. And so, what this channel does is really help you understand the impact of what your credit does and what you need to know about in order to impact whether you're buying something, whether you're about to go on a vacation. I want to make sure that you're well in all of these areas as it impacts your money. And so, today's guest is Miss Tiffany McGee. And what we're going to be talking about is your credit. This is something near and dear to my heart because at the end of the day, as a licensed real estate broker, one of the things that I see is that obviously, in order to be able to even get a home, your credit has to be where it needs to be. And this is the number one reason why we see people who will say, oh, I don't know if I can get a house because I don't know if my credit. Well, guess what? Today is going to be the day as to how we can make sure that we get our credit where we need to be so that we can afford whether it's a house, whether it's investment properties, whether it's whatever. We want to be able to get the best rates with our credit being where it needs to be. So I have our guest today, Miss Tiffany McGee. She will be joining us as we talk about how to impact our credit. So let's bring her up. Hey, Tiffany, how are
Hey,
you?
Brandy. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. I know that all of our guests are super excited and to be here for well, you to be here rather to help them understand on how to impact their credit. Because I was just telling everybody that this is the number one reason that a lot of my clients obviously may not be able to qualify for the loan at that first moment is because of their credit and or if people are trying to buy whatever other things that they're looking for, whether they're looking to refinance, whether they're looking to get the best rate on insurance and things of that nature. Your credit impacts you as it should, but we want to be able to make sure we get the best rates with an excellent credit score. So with that being the case,
Absolutely.
Tiffany, could you explain to everybody and tell them a little bit more about who you are?
Okay. Again, my name is Tiffany McGee. I am the owner of Credit Repair Depot. I had credit problems in the beginning when I was young. I was just like everybody else. Went to college, got credit cards,
Mm,
paid on them a little bit, stopped paying on them. So once I knew that it was a big problem, like I had maybe two credit cards that were bad, I was like, okay, I need to fix this. So I started researching and I actually worked as a credit repair specialist long time ago.
okay.
So I kind of learned and researched and perfected how to fix my credit. And so once I fixed it, it was amazing. It is a wonderful feeling to be able to walk into a store or walk
Mhm.
into a dealership and know that you're going to get approved regardless. It is a different feeling. It's a great feeling and everybody should have it. And I feel like, just because you messed up when you were younger or you messed up in the past because you weren't able to budget correctly, that shouldn't hold you down forever. So, once you're at the point where you can pay all of your bills on time, it's time for you to go ahead and get your credit fixed. It's time for you to get your credit fixed. It's time for you
Mhm.
to live your life and feel free. So I started my company. I've been doing it for years. I officially I officially started my business about 2 years ago, and to help people. I've always helped all of my family members. I've helped several people get houses, free. People that I'm friends with, and they would say, they got denied, and I would say, well, let me do your credit for you for a little. I'll help you out, and I've gotten all type of stuff, medical bills, credit cards removed, and 2 months later, they're able to be approved for a house. So At that time, I was like, you know what? I need to help more people. So the reason I started this business is to actually help people, the people that I know, the people that I come in contact with that don't know what to do, because there are a lot of people, they don't know what to do with their credit. They're
Right.
waiting 7 years for items to fall off that may or may not fall off. So, that's why I went ahead and got started so I could help them.
Okay. So now, Tiffany, you just gave us a whole lot of gems. So you all, let's break this down. Now, Tiffany said that she obviously, like a lot of us, had gone off to college, right? Because I was taking notes, right? And when you went off
Mhm.
to college, you got obviously a credit card. Now, for those of you who all did not see my last show, run back and play that back with, a lot of your kids are going off to college, but let's talk about that. And so this is where we're going to have this adulthood into how we obviously become an adult when we go to college. But it started when Tiffany just said, is when we went to college, because now we're officially entering adulthood. And so that's where she said that's where it went a little bit left, right? If we think about it, where we didn't know because nobody's teaching us about our credit. So I want to talk about it a little bit right there in terms of, as we have people who have children that are about to go off to school, what tips or advice would you give? Because you mentioned a lot. I'm gonna try to dissect it. You mentioned budget. You mentioned we about to go to school. You talking about at college, and these are all the key things that I have been telling you all about in terms of being able to prepare your young adults going off to school, but help people understand why is that a critical point for them as they get ready to have these children go off to school.
Okay. Well, my mom told me don't get a credit card. That's all she said. She never explained why credit was
Mm.
so important, that I would need it for the rest of my life. She never told me that. So I didn't know. Now, with my child, I started him off with a debit card that I controlled. I was the only one able to put money onto it. I was able to, if I gave him $40, I tell him you have to put 20 in savings and the other 20 you can spend. And he would have to request to move it out of savings. And I started that when he was about 14. He is 17 now. He has a nice savings for a 17-year-old. And I'm not talking a little money. I'm not talking about a couple of hundred. He has nice savings. He has bought his own vehicle. He has fixed it up. And he's doing great with savings. And he puts money into his savings in every check he gets. Okay. So I feel like he's starting off great.
Time out. Okay,
What?
y'all. Wait, we can't go fast. Wait a minute. You got to drop this gem. Y'all see y'all what she just said? She said at 14. So that means you can start earlier, but you have to be able to tell us, how did you do that? Like, what's this, an app or what bank? How did you able to, navigate your 14-year-old to be able to do that? How did you
Okay.
do that?
It was a green light card. It's called green
Okay.
light, and it's for kids only. You can get it in their name, but the parents is the only person that can control it. I'm the only one that can put money in. So whenever anybody gave him money, I would say, well,
Mhm.
just give it to me, and I would just transfer it over into his, from my account to his. And I could control how he used his money. And he did very well. And I explained to him that the money that you save, you use that only for big purchases, because I take care of your needs. I take care of your everyday needs. So use it for something that you really want. And so he just got really good at saving. And he's very good at saving. And so
So that's the
and I
first
was
start.
like,
We're going to start out, you all, if you got teenagers and people going off, even if I don't like to say behind, we've just been educated, right? So even if you have college age
mhm,
kids that are about to go off, this may be your first introduction, which is fine, or maybe over the summer. But the point is, start here. And I'm sure there are other credit cards, but this is one of
mhm,
the ways you can start your child with being able to transition into school. Because again, college is where we're going to be able to have this discussion, and we want to be ready for it. Okay.
mhm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I gotta interject because I already know they're gonna be like, I know people are like, wait a minute, how did you do that? So I'm answering these questions as they're popping up, because I already know people are asking these questions, and maybe there's a tendency sometimes, like, I don't want to sound like I have a dumb question. No question is dumb if you don't know.
Right.
We just want to be able to educate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then now my next thing is with him going to college. I am going to monitor his credit. And I know that may be a little controlling, but No one helped me when I was 18. My mom,
Mhm.
like she said, don't get a credit card. I didn't know why, and they were giving them away at the student union. So I'm going
Mhm.
to monitor his credit. Like I told him, he can't you can't get a credit card unless I okay it. So instead, what
Mhm.
I'm going to do is I'm going to add him as an authorized user to one of my credit cards. And I would advise everyone to do that. If you have a credit card with no late payments and it has a higher balance, a higher limit, and a low balance, I would add my child as an authorized user. You don't have to give them the card. You can if you want for emergencies, or you can keep the card. And that's going to jumpstart their credit. They're going to start off with perfect credit. I know a child that she does that now, or one of her, I think her uncle, her brother added her to a card, and she hasn't ever bought anything, and she already has a 700 credit score. And
Mm.
this is a child. So, it gives them an advantage. So I would advise everyone to do that. And even if it's just a card with a limit of $300, $500, something is better than nothing. You just make sure that you keep that balance low, and make
Mhm.
sure that you pay it every single month and never become late on it. And if child is on there, they're going to inherit all of that good credit. So when they go out and apply for their first card, they're going to have a higher credit limit versus the regular 500 or $1,000. They may get a $3,000 credit limit, because when they go back, when the creditors look at their credit, it's like, okay, you have this card and it's been paid on time for 2-3 years, no late payments, the balance is always low. That's great. So that's the first thing that I would do for a child that's going to college. And I would just monitor their credit. You can monitor their credit using Credit Karma, Experian,
Mhm.
annualcreditreport.com, any of those. They're free. And you can just pull their credit, and all of their information. And I would
Right.
just make sure that they're not applying for cards. And if they are applying for cards, I know this may be, everybody may not be okay with this, but I probably would help my child make sure that they pay that bill on time every month, because
Okay.
they need this. They're going to use this for the rest of their life.
Okay. So now a couple things I want to be able to pause here. You
Mhm.
mentioned obviously we want to be able to apply early when we have these high limit cards with the no late. So that's a good thing that we want to do. Now, one thing that we did not establish, and I do apologize, guys, is we let's establish what a good credit score is, because credit scores starting is it 350 to
300
300. I mean,
to
okay,
8.
so 300 to 850, right? I knew it was a 50
Mhm.
somewhere. So 300 to 850 is credit, right? So
Right.
850 being the max, okay? So what we're doing is if we're having your child get onto your credit at an early age, you're basically setting them up to be able to have a high score at an early age because, again, you have paid on time. Now, that's important for you to pay on time if they're an authorized user on your account,
Right.
but more importantly, you're establishing them to be able to be in a position where when it's time for them to be able to get a card, they have it. And so the other thing that I heard you mention is budget. Y'all know I am so excited about that word because I think that we think it's a bad word, but we need to budget because even with having this credit card, our children and ourselves, we still have to put ourselves on a budget. So make sure you talk about that too. So let's talk about how we budget this too, because we do realize that now we about to they're going out to school, they're now having this credit card, you're monitoring it. Well, how are we gonna pay for it if they don't work and it's our first year?
Right. Okay. So with that, so if it's a child and they do have a credit card. Now, if they don't work or they don't have any money coming in, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna solely fall back on you. So you would have to add their bill into your budget. And with the budgeting, everyone, simple budgeting, write down how much money that you make, write down all of the bills that you have going out, see where you can cut something. If you have more money going out than you have coming in, you need to
Mm-hmm.
cut something. And I
Correct.
mean, with budgeting comes sacrifice. You have to sacrifice until you get to the point where you can easily pay your bills and have money left over. And even with the money left over, you have to try to put it somewhere. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just, don't just leave it sitting in your checking account. put it in your savings account. Start, like you said last time in your last video, the lady talked about how to start investing, which is, I thought,
Mhm.
was an awesome video. So, and even if you can't get that far, at least save something. You have to start making a habit to save, and that's really hard, and it takes some people a really long time to learn how to save. But the sooner you know how to save something, you can
Yeah.
start saving a lot more. If you can save 50 every pay period, you can
Yeah.
learn to save 100. So that, to me, that's the biggest thing. If you can save, then you can budget well. You'll start, this is for savings. You can even put in your budget, this is my miscellaneous spending. I'm gonna buy
Mm.
candy and go to the movies and go out
Whatever
for
it is.
drinks with money. Yeah. you know so like you said, budgeting is the most important. And with your child, you would probably have to pay for it for them unless they get a job. And if they have a job, or if they have work study, something like that, going to school,
Mhm.
you would need to really horn in and say, hey, have you paid your bill? Your bill is due on the 10th. And I tell everybody to set up reminders. I don't set if my bill is due on the 10th, my reminder is set for like the 7th or the 8th. So just in
Right.
case, because we get busy, and you see
Mhm.
the reminder on the 10th, you get busy, and before you know it, it's
Baby.
9 o'clock at night and you done forgot about it, or the credit card company may stop taking payments at 7 or something. And after that, it's the next day. And therefore, you're considered late. So I always set my reminder a couple of days up before, so I can say, okay, make sure I pay that bill. And then you go ahead and schedule it. You can schedule it to come out whenever, whatever day it's due. Most of the credit cards have that option. So do that for your child as well. Call them, hey, you need to make sure that this bill is paid. Call them the day of. Did you pay it? And it's
Right.
not just nagging them, but it's just making sure that they start a good pattern.
Right.
You
Okay.
know.
Now, this is an excellent segment into late payments, right? Because she was talking about reminders. So, hey, I'm just going to walk through this door, y'all, because she just said that there are late payments. And so let's talk about this. Now, again, we're talking about children. I think that was just a good entryway because, again, sometimes we look over our children in terms of thinking, oh, they have time, but do they? If we are not talking about it, let's start dealing with the elephant in the room. But now let's talk about as adults now. So we've transitioned over a little bit from our children. We've talked about how to be able to start setting them up for success. Now let's talk
Mhm.
about what our children need. I mean, excuse me, what we need to do rather as it relates to us. Because now that we've gone through college, we don't need this anymore. Now we are full adults. We have credit card bills, right? We have these different, offers being sent to us, and now we have access to this credit. Let's talk about the importance of credit and what happens when we are late with a payment, just one. How does that impact our credit, Tiffany?
Ooh, that is the worst thing ever. And I tell everybody, I tell my credit clients, I would rather you be late on your light, water, gas bill before you be
Mhm.
late on that credit card bill, because you can put extensions on some of those other bills. But with the credit card bill, as soon as you hit that 30-day late payment, it will knock you down 30, 40 points. And they are so hard to recoup. Okay. Like when I'm doing credit repair, I remove a couple of accounts off of your credit. And then, so you may boost up 80 points. You can have one late payment and it knocked it down 40 points. It is very hard to get that 40 points back. So that's the reason why I tell people, please pay it on time, pay it before time, before it's due, because it is very hard to get those points back, and it will knock you down so bad. I had a lady not too long ago. She had 2 or 3 car payments. Well, no, that's not what it was. She was late with her that one car payment, and so she just, instead of paying double, she was just paying the car payment. So every month it was reporting as late. She went from a 650 to maybe a 410 or something. And she was devastated. And those are then late payments are some of the hardest things to get off of your credit. They can come off. I've gotten them off plenty of times, but they are extremely hard to get off, especially if the account is open and the creditor is going to fight it, because they're like, yeah, we know you were late because we saw this, you still have this account with us. We know you were late. So it's hard. It's harder to come off than the other ones.
Okay, so
So
guys,
that.
Let's talk about
Mhm.
it. We starting at 300 up to 850. And if it takes one account 30, well, yeah, 40, 30, 40 points for you to be late. And again, we have car, we have credit cards, we got all mortgage, rent, whatever, however that
Mhm.
they were reporting. Look how many late. And then to that example you talked about with the car, it's that it was taking off more late. Even though she was still making payments, she never
Mhm.
got caught up. And the company was, yeah, they're gonna still take your payment. But guess what?
Yeah.
It's not impacting you because you still haven't caught up to what you were supposed to be based on your agreement. And so then when you get ready to go and buy a house and tying it back in for you, that lender is going to now look at your basically your report card, right? Sort of speaking in terms of your credit. And they're saying, if you were late with this car payment, if you're late with this with your credit card, guess what we're going to think? You're going to be late with us. And so that's where you'll get a
Exactly.
denial from because now they think that you cannot handle money. It is about how you handle money. Your credit card, your credit score rather, is simply a report card of what you have been given in terms of how you've been able to get the people have given you these particular services and you're supposed to pay them back and they're reporting to someone just how good A, B, C, D, F. And so basically that's what we're saying here. But even so much as Tiffany telling us that even though you may just fall behind once, even though you think, okay, well, I'll just pay that next month, guys, you can't
Mm-mm.
just pay one, next month. You can, but you got to double up. And it's harder to, like I was telling people last week, when you get behind, that's all they want. They want you to get behind one time. So then
Mhm.
it's hard for you to crawl out this hole. And if we're
Yeah.
losing 30 to 40 points per transaction, guys, that's a lot of points. And then you may be getting 550s and you're like, well, why can't I get a house? I may have all this money. I hear that all the time. I got all this money. I'm paying $1,500 in rent. It doesn't matter about how much you're paying in rent. It's about your report card and your credit score and what you've done with work they have already given you, right? So
Exactly.
I think you got to, that's a big factor. And again, budgeting and or reminders. Maybe that's how you got late. Maybe you just didn't have it, or maybe you just forgot. Whatever the case may be, the point is you got to play catch up in order to boost that score. So we're talking about scores. We're talking about we were behind. How do we increase our score, then, Tiffany?
Okay. So there are a couple of tips to do it. Of course, paying everything on time and
Mm-hmm.
paying the minimum balance. It'll work, but it takes a long time. So if you want to do it kind of quick, what I would do is, like, if you have a credit card and let's say the balance is $800. If you run into some money, some extra money, in which in certain times we do run into a little extra money, I
Right.
would pay 400, 500 on it. That'll boost you up 40,
Mm,
50 points at times. Paying it all the way off will boost you up. Um, if you don't have any late payments on anything, and but you're steady paying everything on time, but your score isn't really moving, you
mhm.
can always, and there's some people who they may not have, they have, let's say, maybe low balance, low limit credit cards, 500 and
Oh,
three
yes.
hundred and stuff like that. So with those people, what I would do is I would ask someone that you trust and to see if they would add you to a credit card as an authorized user. And they don't have to do it for long, just 6 months. And you can explain to them that it is not going to, your credit score is not going to impact theirs, but theirs will impact yours. They can add you as an authorized user. You don't have to use the card. They can keep it, and it'll help you boost your score up. They're called trade lines. People sell them.
Mhm.
I don't sell them, and I
So
don't,
don't ask her,
I
y'all.
don't do that.
Don't ask her, can she do a
No,
trade line? That's what she's telling you. Okay.
no, I tell them, let it be someone you trust, an older family member, mother, father, grandmother,
Okay.
aunt, someone they're well established and they pay their bills on time. You can ask them to add you. It'll help boost your score. But the main things to boost it up is to sometimes, and then that's nothing. Sometimes some people don't have enough credit that they're paying on. They'll pay everything in cash. They may have had this one account a couple of years ago, and their credit is basically dormant. They're not doing anything with it. You really have to use your credit in order for it to move. So you may
Mm.
have to add something, add a credit card. If you're not able to get approved for a credit card, there are programs out there like I think one is called Linda. They're like little credit builder programs. You can Google it
Mhm.
and find some. And what they do is you pay into an account. Let's say they'll say no up into a loan. They'll say, well, we'll loan you $500. You decide how much you want to pay. If you can afford $25 a month, $50 a month, you pay it every single month. They report to your credit as this person is paying this bill and paying this loan. When you get to the $500 plus whatever they charge, which is normally like $40, they will release that $500 to you, and then you can start all the way over. So it's basically you're paying in and getting your own money. Those are great little credit builder accounts that will, kind of boost you up. So
That's
sometimes you have to add stuff, add a little more credit to it. And then you
mhm.
have to also add a little mixture of credit in there. You want to have a credit card and maybe a credit account, go get your piece of furniture somewhere, or go on maybe like JC Penney's and see if you can get something, or something like Finger Hut. Those are some that we forget about, like a Finger Hut
Mhm.
account. You can
Mhm.
get they allow a lot of people with lower credit scores, and you just want to start paying something every month. Because what I tell my clients is, I say, okay, well, these people don't know you. The lenders, the mortgage lenders, they don't
Right.
know you.
Mhm.
And so the only thing they can go by is your credit report to see how well you pay your bills. You're
Mhm.
asking them to loan you $200,000, and then I
Mhm.
ask them, would you loan you $200,000 just looking at your credit? Most of them say no. So I'm like,
See?
all right, you have to show these people that you can lend me money and I can pay it back on time, so you can lend me big money so I can get what I want.
Right. That's a good point. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good
So,
point. Guys, I know we have been talking. Thank you all so much for being here. I mean, we could definitely talk in this even for hours, but for the sake of how much time we have left, I do want to touch on one more quick thing. Is
mhm.
this is one thing that always gets asked is medical payments, right? How does medical payments affect your credit?
Okay. Now, medical bills, if you do not pay them, they
Mhm.
will go on your credit, and they do it very quickly. They do it quicker than anything else. I have seen I've seen people that, they've been to the doctor, they send them out a bill. Two
Mhm.
months later, it's on their credit because they didn't pay it. But the good thing about most medical bills is if you pay them off, you need to ask them for a pay and delete. And most of them will do a pay and delete. You ask them, say, if I pay this bill, will you delete it off my credit? Most of them say, yes, we will,
Right.
because they just want the money.
Right.
So those are some of the easiest things to get taken off your credit. And now, if you don't want to pay it, if you have a lot of them on there, and I mean, this is the other thing about credit repair. Just because you got your credit repair does not mean you do not owe them. You still owe that bill, but it can be
Mhm.
taken off. All of this stuff can be taken off. So if you're just one of those people, you just want to start over, you don't want to pay them, you'll deal with it later, then you can still get your credit repaired and get all of that stuff taken off, or most of that stuff taken off.
Okay.
And the stuff that won't come off, because everything doesn't come off. I don't want to sell anybody any dreams.
Okay.
Everything may not come off. And if it
Right.
doesn't, then that's the stuff that you want to go ahead and pay. But I would
Okay.
everything, every collection account or charge off account, I would call them first and ask for a pay and delete. Ask them to send you an email, something in writing, a letter, basically saying that, hey, we will, once you pay it, we'll take it off your credit. Now, medical bills are the easiest to get taken off. So, and they're so those are the things. They're the first thing that goes in collection. So those are the things you want to work on first, because I don't think you're going to be able to get a mortgage loan, period, with any collections on your account. So,
Okay. So guys, you heard that now. We still gotta pay these bills. They're not just gonna come off and she's not making no promises. But one thing I do want to make sure, just out of respect of time, is how can people get in contact with you, Tiffany? Because I know that again, we could definitely talk about credit and I definitely want to have you back on the show. But for those who right now are like, you know what, Tiffany, I need to talk to you because I need to know about my situation, da, 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 how can they get in contact with you?
okay, you can reach me on Facebook. My name is Tiffany S. McGee. You can
Okay.
give me a phone call. My number is 601
Mhm.
988 3064. You
Okay.
can email me. Um, Email is creditrepair.depot@mail.com. But you can
Okay.
text if you want. I get text messages all the time. I get inboxes all the time, and just get in contact with me, and we can talk. I'm available pretty much 24/7. I talk to credit clients all night long. I talk to
Mhm.
people through inboxes all day long. And even if you're not ready, you can call and you can kind of discuss, and I can tell you if you need a credit repair. Some people don't need it. Some people just need some extra credit. They may just not have anything. Like I said, you have a lot of people that their credit is basically dormant because they haven't used it in years because they feel like they have bad
Yeah.
credit. But if
Okay.
you don't, if you know your credit is bad, I can help you.
Okay. Tiffany, and you guys, let me reach out to her. Tiffany, is there anything else you want to tell everybody in terms of their credit or tips or anything before we?
Yes, please monitor your credit. A lot of people do not watch it. You need to watch it. You should be looking at your credit at least once a month just to see what's on there. Make sure nothing new is popping up. Monitor it. And if you know it's bad, do not wait. Go ahead and reach out and get a credit repair so you can get started on your new life.
Okay. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much. I'm going to drop you down, but I want to again thank you for being here, guys. Again, you
You're
have access
welcome.
to Tiffany, and we definitely were going to have her back because I know people have more questions, so no worries. And so, guys, thank you all so much for being here. I hope you all got some information and some gems as it relates to being able to fix your credit. I do have some additional resources. I'm going to drop a link in the chat, and you can go to www.mycoins mycoinsjournal, .com, and there's a resource tab. And on that resource tab is a free PDF that you can be able to download should you want to be able to do a basic budget, right? Because we were talking about budgeting, we were talking about how to start setting up yourself for obviously making these payments. Go to my website, www.mycoinsjournal.com, and download that free resource tool, as well as we do have additional tools that you can be able to utilize that will help you in an Excel format, whether you are single, whether you're a married couple, and or want to be able to do an annual budget. I have all of that done for you. Just download it, get free access to, excuse me, not free access to those, but there's a monetary fee for those Excel spreadsheets, but there's already done. And these things will be able to utilize starting today. You just input your information in there in order to be able to start monitoring your budget. And then again, if you still needing more information, again, we're talking about coins, we're talking about your money, we're talking about your credit. Don't forget that I do have the option to be able to help you ensure that all that you've worked hard for is protected through the Coins Legacy Keeper. So definitely you can go check that out on the page as well. So thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you and look forward to you all being able to secure your coins, but also protect your credit. So I look forward to talking to you all next week, and I will talk with you all later. Have an amazing rest of the day. Bye bye.